Hey everybody, welcome. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to make like one of these old school electronic handheld toys. I used to have a bunch of them. I was a big, fan of these until obviously the Game Boy and stuff like that came along. But I wanted to do a tutorial on like a retro vectorize, kind of like vectorizing a retro toy and console. And there's a million of them on, pretty much every console you can think of. But I couldn't really find a lot on these old handheld toys. So I thought it'd be a fun one to do, like go really retro. Okay, so this is what we're going to be making. It's actually not too hard. This, you got to know a little bit about Affinity, but you should be able to follow along here, even if you're new to Affinity. This tutorial might be a little long, but I'm just going to plow through it, and I might pause a couple times to touch stuff up, and then that way it just doesn't make it so long. But we should get through it pretty quick, and you're going to learn a lot. So the biggest thing about this tutorial that I like is it really shows off the difference between Affinity and Illustrator. So this is a tutorial you can't really do in Illustrator, So a lot of this is vector, but then a lot of this, like we're going to go ahead and make these planets and stuff, and that's all pixel persona that we're going to be using with, an actual pixel brush and everything. So this is a really good tutorial for like, showing off Affinity just in general. So we're going to be using symbols again. I'm assuming you've watched maybe a couple of my past tutorials. If not, check those out because I'm going to be kind of going over some stuff quickly that I go over in more detail in those, and I'll point that out as we go. But let's just get right into this and just start making it. So I got a new document opened over here, and I imported the picture just to trace this outside shape, or you can just go for it if you want. But I just want to trace this out. Make sure if you get one that it's like a straight top-down view. A lot of them were kind of a little bit angled, and we're not doing that for this tutorial. This is just straight top-down view. And what we want to do is make a new layer. We should be in the draw persona here. Click on the pen tool, and I just want to show you the difference between some of these pen tools here real quick before we get started. So we have, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so that was some kind of bug for some reason. Okay, we're good. Okay, so the normal pen tool that, if you do vector, you're probably used to is the Bezier tool, which where you click and then you kind of like go like that, and you're kind of following out. You're making it as you go, and you're kind of like picking where the points out and are drawing out. So some people are really good at that, and that's all good. I might as well just keep doing this. But there is another way that I'm going to show you separate. So see what I'm saying? This takes a little bit of time. It's not hard or anything, but I like this other tool that I'm going to show you a little bit better. So basically the smart tool, which I'm going to show you next, is, oops, you can always Command Z and like see, you got to kind of fiddle with the Bezier tool a little bit. And that's my gripe about it, is it's not, you got to like be good at it to use it. Which, I guess you got to be good at everything to use it. But the smart pen tool is going to be a little bit quicker, and I do use it more than this. I just figured since I already started in this, I might as well just kind of finish this out since it's a simple shape. And there we go. We have our shape here. Okay. And that looks pretty good. We hit it pretty good here. So I'm just going to show you what I do normally use, even though I went through that with that, is I'll use this, I'll use the Smart Pen tool here, and it allows you to just like really kind of quickly click around stuff. And the program kind of knows where you're going with it. And it's not perfect by any means. Either way, you're still going to have to kind of go through. But as you can see, I'm just kind of clicking, and it just kind of knows where I'm going for the most part. So that's the Smart Pen tool, and I would definitely say try them both out and pick which one you like better. But as you can see, the Bezier tool got it a little smoother. But this is so much quicker. And even sometimes when you got a more complicated object, it's quicker just to go around it with the Smart tool and go in and like start adjusting stuff and being like, okay, well, this, didn't, let's delete that and let's go ahead and adjust this. Because it still makes the same points. They're still they adjust the same way as the other tool. So check both these out. You definitely want to get used to one of them and have one be your favorite. So, okay. Getting back into the tutorial here, we do have our shape. Looks good. Let's get rid of the background image. And let's drop a black background in here so we can see our shape a little bit better. Okay. So now that we have our shape, let me go back and show you kind of what we're going to do here. We're going to make all these shapes, and a lot of these have a bevel and emboss effect on them that's giving them this. The actual shape itself here, you can kind of see it's really just a gradiated stroke. And it's flat, where all this like beveling is coming in on the larger shape here is from a pixel layer, kind of just giving it a little bit of shape. So we're going to do the pixel stuff last, or at the appropriate time. So right now we just kind of want to do this like little stroke that just kind of starts off as kind of a gray and then kind of goes down to a white. So gradiated stroke is what we're looking to do here. So let's go into the stroke. Let's click on this and let's go into the stroke. For starters, we kind of want to make it, kind of big enough to see, but not too crazy. And we can kind of keep adjusting this. So I guess I got it at one point. And if you click on the color, you actually want to go to gradient. And let's see, let me zoom out a little bit here. So that actually, I might have just kind of had it on the default gradient. Okay, so we'll kind of click to that, and we can always come back to this as we're working on it. Okay, so I think just to kind of keep this video quick here, I'm going to pause it for 1 second, and I'm just going to use circles, and these were just made with, there's a triangle tool. I'm just going to make some of this stuff real quick. I'm not going to put the effects in. I don't want this video to be forever, so I'm just going to make some of these shapes, and then we'll get back into it, and I'll show you how to like make them pop out. So go ahead if you want to pause with me as well and do that. Just kind of get the basic shapes blocked in. I guess we can do these two. Don't worry about this middle piece yet. and I'll see you guys back in 1 minute. Okay, so I'm back, and all I did was just rough in some of the shapes here. I put our reference layer on top and drop the opacity to about 25%. That way, you can just kind of go over everything and get everything lined up properly. Just kind of go over some of the things here to make this shape and these here. Basically, use that, and then you can bring the edges in however much you want, and just kind of circle them out. That's how you do a good oval. And on this, I just want to show you, see how we got kind of rounded pads on this. I used the actual triangle tool to make it. That's how I made that. However, you're going to notice it's like super sharp and pointy, and the other one's not. What I do for that is I use the corner tool here, and let me zoom in. You can come in and just kind of grab these corners, just bring them in a little, just kind of eyeball it up, whatever looks good. Just kind of soften these edges, because there's no way a game like that would have edges like that. We then, once you're happy with that, just so we make sure we got like the exact same version, you can just Command J to copy it, and then right click on it, transform, and flip horizontally. And then we can just kind of place that. So one other thing I want to show you, speaking of placing this, we can select both of these and we can try to move them around. Let's do this. So for here, I'm going to turn on the this, and let's see if this catches. So see how we get the green and red line there? That means we're lined up, and that is center. And let me kind of look at that. So I had them a little bit further apart. So see how we can kind of just stay on that red line. And let me just adjust that a little bit. Let me just bring it in. Delete that. That way I'm sure they're the same. Command J. Flip it. Transform. Rotate horizontally. Okay. And then I'll kind of get both these and kind of move them around. Okay. So that's way number one. Having those on sometimes gets a little annoying. And it snaps to stuff when you don't want it to. So let's take this, for example. Let's say you're trying to get this center, and you're like, okay, right there. Even though we can both see that that's not quite center. Another quick way to align is if you select both of your objects, one on top of the other here, you can go up to the align thing, and you can do align horizontally and align vertically, and as you can see, that like popped it right into space. So you know what, one more align trick I will show you is these. Let's just say, like, these were out of alignment, and you had something kind of like that. As long as you have the outer ones where you want them, if you select all these and then again go up to here, we want vertically, and if you click on this last one, scale vertically, they're all gonna pop into place. Oh, I'm sorry, horizontally. Okay, so as you can see, when I click that, it spaced them all properly. So that is how you do that. Okay, so here we are. We got all our shapes. Now we're going to start getting into the whole bevel and emboss thing, and that's what's going to pop everything out and make it look like it does in the other one. So to do a bevel and emboss, let's start with the outer layer first. Click on the effects. Let's put this over here so we can look at it. Okay, so let's select bevel and emboss. You know what? I do not want a stroke with the bevel and emboss for this. And I believe I did go pillow. So we just want to keep it light, because you don't want to go too harsh with the radius. You just want that like it's cut out of plastic kind of look. So you want a light radius, and then you kind of just want to go in with the direction and kind of make sure you got your direction right, which should be right about there. It looks like we're going to have to click on and off with this. And once you got your direction kind of set, it's going to kind of be that for everything. So you got to kind of keep in mind, you don't need the exact numbers, but you do want that to look the same each time. Okay, so I just want to see. Yeah, as I thought. So for this, we want to emboss. We want to do a pillow, which kind of gets both sides. Pillow kind of gives that like feel where it's kind of getting on. Oops. Where it's kind of on the same, where it's buttoned up against stuff. Okay, so I just want like a little bit of off-centered for that. Now we can go to this and do a bevel and emboss, and this is going to be a lot different. We do want like a higher radius, and we want to soften it a lot so it doesn't look, you know, just so it's got like a little bit softer look. Now this, we want to keep it in that same area, but you can play with it a little bit. It's not a big deal to play with it. And then on these, you can play with kind of how you're embossing it. If it's a pillow, or you know what you're kind of using. And as you can see, just by adding a little bit of emboss to this, you know, we're starting to get these effects that pop it out and make, you know, this start looking realistic. So now, because we have two items here and we know they're going to be the same, we definitely want the same settings on both these. What we're going to do is group this, and then we're going to apply the effect to the group. That way it will just automatically affect both of these at the same time. So for these, we want emboss kind of right around there. And that's about the right radius, so we'll just kind of soften it up. And then what we can also do is we can do the same thing with this ellipse. Oops. And we can put this. Let's see if this... Well, I guess we will do this separate. We could have done the same thing and put them in a group and then done the group, because those will have the same effects on them. But we'll just kind of do it real quick. So I think I do like a little bit better with the stroke on it. Well, let me see. I gotta look at what I did with the other one to see. But that looks good enough for now. And like I said, we're going to go back in with the brush, and we're going to go back in with a brush and put a little bit of depth on it. But I do want to make this just a little bit bigger here. Fill more of that space up. Good. Okay. Here, that's bevel and embossed along with okay. So like I said, a lot of kind of, you know, a lot of tedious stuff, but this isn't a really hard tutorial. It's still pretty easy to follow along here. It just takes a little bit to get some of this stuff going. So pillow emboss there should be fine for that. We can go through. I might go through and tweak these up on a pause, but that's the basics of what's going on. So now this, all these little cuts are also embossed, as you can see. So I might have to thin mine down a little bit. So that's all embossing as well. So let's go through. Let's try it like this, but I got a feeling I'm going to have to thin it down. And same with this. We can select all these, group them. We'll call them grates. And we'll apply an effect to them, which is the Bevel and Emboss. And this, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I was saying bevel. Wait, was it? Hold on. Did I do a Bevel and Emboss, or did I? You know what? Those might have been outer shadowed. You know, let me pause this really quick. I should have remembered. I forgot what I did to that really quick. Okay, guys, super sorry about that. I forgot something that I forgot how to do that for a second, but it clicked in. Okay, so this is a little bit of a trick in Affinity to get. So the thing is this, we want to put our bevel and emboss on the grates here, and that's all, you know, that's all good. Okay, you can see what the bevel and emboss is doing here, but the thing is, we want to do an outer emboss, and then the thing that I forgot is we want to make another layer. So we have this group, and then we have a group within the group that just kind of holds them, so we can put another effect on, which is color overlay. And as you can see, that was the trick here, is that it's bevel and embossing them, but it's such a light shadow that you don't notice it. So if you put a black color overlay over it, it really like pops that indentation out. And that's that's why I had to pause it for a second. I forgot about how to do that. It is a little unconventional, and hopefully, you know, in the future there'll be ways just to kind of pop it out within that. So that's a little bit of a Affinity hack for you right there. And then one other thing I did was just real quick, some of these other ones, they were a little bit lighter a second ago. If you go into your bevel, the black, as you can see here on the arrow on the left-hand side, it was defaulted to like 70, and I just pumped it up to make it a little darker. So you do have opacity options there. Okay, so, oh, and then I elongated these a little bit just to match this a little bit better. Okay, getting back into the tutorial here, let's do these little buttons here. So these, we want to bevel and emboss. Oops. Okay. Okay, bevel and emboss these. I believe we just want to regular emboss this. So instead of doing the pillow emboss where we try to make this, you know, pop right out of the plastic, we're just going to do a normal emboss, soften it, kind of get the lighting right. And it looks about right. And same with the whites, we can just pump that up all the way. Right about there, I'm fine with. That looks like a button. So what we want to do to kind of trick the eye on this one is, where do we start? Right there. So I just want to go behind it. We can go behind all these and just create a, turn this off. Behind it, and we just want to go all black. Oh, you know what? Let me undo this. This has got to be on its own layer, because we don't want this effect. We don't want the bevel on that. So I'm on this. It's gonna go black. I'm not sure why I'm getting oh, okay, so we got to go back into this. We got to play with those. Okay, so we just want to do an inner to these. Otherwise, we're going to run into that issue right there. So just an inner emboss on those. And then we just kind of want to make this. We just kind of want to put our own little black background on it. Just to kind of show. Just so that's a little off and kind of thicker. See how it just kind of looks like it's popping through a, you know, just kind of like popping through. So that's just kind of a quick, easy way to do it, I thought. So I'm going to hold the Alt key and the Shift key and just kind of drag these out to all of them. And I'm going to use the arrow keys just to play with it a little bit. Because, like, you know, these games were, the plastic molding on these was not always dead on. So it's kind of cool to have some of them, you know, a little bit different, like around it, because that's kind of how these games were. Okay, so now that we got this done, okay, so now that we zoom out, we can see that looks, you know, that's kind of a realistic look for that. Okay, so now the next thing we need to do is go in and we need to get this middle piece done. And after that, after we get this middle shape done, we're going to go into the pixel persona and we're going to do that stuff. Then we're going to go into symbols and I'd say we're about at the halfway point right now. So let's go back in, trace that, and we'll get going. So I'm going to show you another little trick. So last time we went through and we made the that backdrop. Oops, drop this down. We'll go right here with it. Okay, so last time we were tracing, we were going between these tools. So I want to show you just a little bit, another little trick in Affinity is, so this one just makes lines. They won't connect. This one only, it doesn't do round edges or anything. So you're probably thinking like, why are you using this? And I'm going to show you. This is a little bit of a trick. So we can quickly go out, and if it's kind of a square shape with just rounded edges, this will work really good on. So that's probably the quickest way to kind of like trace around something, but obviously we don't have these nice beveled edges like we want. So, okay, let me just do a color here. Let's kind of go with the dark blue for now. Okay, so like we did earlier with the thing here, we can also use this on our shapes that we make as well. So I'm just going to go in and kind of eyeball it up and just kind of pull my own corners in. And maybe just a tad on these. Okay. And select off that and hide that. Okay, and as you can see, that was like way quicker. So now we do need that back on again, because now we just got to cut the hole out here. So that, go to here, and let's just make a square. This doesn't need a beveled edge or anything. Okay, this we can do that. Okay, now we can get rid of this. And as you may have seen in some of my other videos, we want to actually cut this circle right out so we can see the white of this in the background. So we select both of these. We are going to select the top and the bottom, this middle one here. So basically what that's saying is whatever is on top is going to slice through the bottom. And then we're going to hit this one here, which is subtract, because we want to subtract it. And then there we go. Now we have just one shape with that piece cut right out of it. So the next step is, it looks like we're going to be getting into the pixel persona now. So the next step is we want to make this little background and then get into the space thing, and then that's pretty much going to wrap this tutorial up, because like I said, I don't want these to be, I know we're getting a little long with it. I want to try to keep this under an hour, so we're going to see if we can do that. Okay, so we're going to make another square. This is going to be like kind of that yellowish, you know how those games had those little yellowy tints to them. And we are going to drop that into the back. I guess we could do this real quick before we get into the pixel persona, is we can put an effect on this. We do want to bevel and emboss the edges of this just a little bit. Should definitely just kind of be a really, really little bit here. It's looking a little blurry for some reason. Okay, we'll just go with a normal emboss on that. And then what we want to do to get that little shadow in here is we want the inner shadow. And we just want to pop a radius out. Hold on, you can't see it because the angle's going the wrong way. What is, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, if we do that, it's going to apply to this whole mask. I'm sorry. I'm doing this the wrong way. Inner shadow was what I was thinking. And it does put what we want there, but it's also going to put it here. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to do the outer shadow. We want to go into this rectangle that we made here. And we want to apply an inner shadow effect to that. So and man, it's really, I gotta pump that up a lot to get that. So we'll kind of shrink that down. But that kind of gives it that, you know, that like bevel kind of look. And you can of course, play with it. And if you do just kind of want it coming from those corners, just kind of stretch the box out a little bit. Kind of set that up however you want. And I think that looks good. That looks pretty realistic. Okay, so now we're going to get into the pixel persona, and we're just going to do the background to that and this, and we just got some text and stuff to put on this. So the way we do that is if we make a new pixel layer, and let me just show you. I've showed you guys this. So now we got to go into the pixel persona, so we can use a pixel brush, and let me just use something like this for a second and just go on like a bright green just so I can show you what's going on here. Okay, so that's behind the layer, so I guess it doesn't matter. I can't show you what I wanted to show you, but if you drop it into here, now it's like literally not going to go outside the edges. So I guess I can show you. Let me Command Z that real quick. So now, as you can see, I mean, we're not going to get that crazy, but if you go way out of the lines, if you drop it into that rectangle, now it's masked to that layer. So let me just Command A and delete that. Command D. Okay, so now we have this layer. Whatever we do to this is going to be in here. In this one, I just kind of did like the little planet thing, and then I just put some texture in. So we're just going to do something similar. Nothing too crazy here. And of course, we're going to go back to black. Let's kind of do like just a dirty brown for this. Like pretty much black, but not 100%. And with this, if you hold Alt and Control with the mouse, you can up and down. We'll do the pressure, and right and left will do the size. So that's how I'm doing that. And what I want to do is just put this on a super light. I'm going to go 3 for my opacity. So I'm hitting the 3 button. Now I got a 3 opacity. And I'm just going to kind of click in once and then go down a little bit. Click in. Click. Click. And that's kind of how this bottom one I'll click a couple times. Okay, and that's just how those games kind of look. They had that like weird thing going on with it. And we can always play with it and stretch it out a little bit. I want to stretch it just a tad and bring it down a bit. Okay, so then we're going to go into textures, and I'm going to go with a little bit darker this time. I think that might have been a little too brown. And I'm just going to pick this and maybe not that one or that. Ugh, I'm in trouble. Grunge 6. Okay, Grunge 6 looks good. And same thing. I'm going to kind of drop the opacity down to like 4 on this one maybe. I'm just going to start putting some texture on it. And then we're going to kind of go in with like a harsher texture to kind of do some of the clouds or whatever. But still, this will go 50. And I'm just kind of like clicking in, and you just kind of want that dirty like this was literally just a piece of paper that they would put in the back. And it just had like that feel to it, where it just, got grungy and stuff. So that's cool. That's close enough, because once we start layering these pictures on it, it'll make it look better. And we do put an adjustment layer on to really pop it. I guess we can do that now. So if we go in here, these are our adjustment layers. So if you click on that, we're going to do a, let's do an exposure on this. Let me try exposure. Same thing. Now it's still in only this thing here. So, okay, we're going to do an exposure. I'll leave that one on, and then I'm going to put one more on. That is contrast. So I actually want to darken it just a tad, and then really kind of pop that contrast. And that's close enough. Okay, so basically from here to get the center of this, what I did, let me show you how I made this. This is all really simple, and I'm not going to go into depth on this because it's so simple and it's just going to take a lot of time. If I can find this layer. Okay, the ships. Here's that ship. So all this is just shapes that I had just kind of made. You know, none of them are super hard. All these are is just either shapes from here, or I just kind of like drew something out really quick with the pen tool. So these are all symbols. That way I can just drag in as many as I want. Now symbols only stay in each document, so I don't have the symbols here. But what I can do is I can turn those symbols into assets, and we'll just use the Friday the 13th one here. That was a different tutorial I did. So I have this selected. I go to assets and I can do add from selection, and then there we go. We have it in there. Same thing with this. I just kind of made it and I cut, similar to how I cut this middle shape out of this blue piece. I just kind of made this like outer shape and then cut the windows and stuff out. So all I'm doing is just kind of dragging these in, and actually once you get one in and you get it the right size, you can just alt drag it, kind of reposition it a little bit, because these games they weren't all uniformed like that. And then there's a drop shadow on them, as you can see, to kind of give that, let's go, I'm sorry, outer shadow it's called, to just kind of give it that little like pop, like it's off the page a little bit. So like I'm saying, I'm not going to totally go in and do this because it's super time consuming and there's a lot of stuff. I'm just going to kind of go over it and show you what I did. You can do multiple selects and drop the opacity down. And then I guess I gotta. And then you can bring the opacity up. Whoops. Oh, I'm sorry. Because they're a symbol. Okay. So because they're symbols, whatever you do to one is going to happen to everything. So what you're going to want to do is take the one that you do not want to change, like its color, and you want to detach it. So whoops. So let's say this is the one where we want actually black. In the symbols, you want to hit detach. And then now we can go to the ship like any of the other ones and drop the opacity of them, and it won't affect the main one there. So good luck with this. I'm not going to do it. It takes forever, but that's how I did it. You know, if you look at those old games, go look at some reference. Maybe you're like me, you got an old one laying around that you can look at. They all had like, they were just jammed as many like little symbols onto the LLC screen that they could. And if you look from an angle, it's like you can see them all, but only the ones that are in motion at that time will be dark. So if you played these kind of games, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, well, you might have to go look at one to kind of get the thing. But that's exactly how I created all this. Took forever. We're going to skip it and get right into this background. We're going to get right into these planets and stuff here. And I'm going to show you how I did that. Okay, so similar to what we just did here, we're going to create a pixel persona layer. And we're going to drop it in to here. So now this is masked. Whatever we do in here is going to stay in here. We're going to go into the pixel persona. We're going to click the pixel brush. And we're going to just stay in the texture brush for the most part. Let me just kind of do one quick look. So that is pretty dark. And then we went in with the light blues. Okay. So before we get going with that, I do want to drop this like pretty much to a black. Then we go in here, select a brush, and the brush I want to do like just a little bit lighter blue. And we're just going to start getting like some textures going for this back piece. Okay, so that's cool to get started. Now, I want to do the planets. So you can do one of two things. You can either do another vector circle and then drop down a pixel persona in it if you want. Or I'm just going to make a new pixel persona or pixel layer. And I'm just going to draw out like this. And fill it with something here. Let's kind of fill it with that. Maybe a little darker. Just a little bluer. Okay, right there. And then I'm going to take the brush and basically what I did, you just kind of keep going around it, and like your light source is coming from here. So you'll see. You just kind of, there's not a super science to this. You just kind of keep going around it with the brush, and you're just kind of trying to get that like, oops. And of course, again, let me undo this. You want to keep your brush at a low opacity, but like this is all I'm doing, and I'm going to kind of keep going in with different colors and stuff and different opacities to get this the way I want. So now I'm going to kind of get like black, and I'm going to go in and go low. I'm going to go with a light like 30% here. And like you're just kind of going in and just slowly creating this shape. And then of course we're going to go in with like lighter. Okay, so now we can kind of lighten it up a little bit. We can kind of come in on the top where we know our highlight is. Again, only at like 20% here. You know, and as you can see, we're starting to make this planet a planet. And that's all it is. Kind of going back and forth. So this whole time I was on Grunge 9. And that's all it took. And like I said, you know what? You can be on this all day, you know, trying to fine tune this. But I'm going to deselect that. And then all we got to do now is the outer like thing. So actually, let me go back. So I can do this two ways. Again, I could do what I just did and select the marching ants tool and go around, or you know what, let me just go into this and we will just create our circle this time. And we'll put it behind it. Whoops. Come on, Affinity. All right. Okay. Put it behind it. And let's do no stroke and like a bright kind of blue color. Like almost white, but blue. And then we'll get this in position. Kind of like how we like here. Just kind of look at that. And okay, that's about it right there. And then I'm just going to do a blur effect to it. Gaussian blur. And we're just going to kind of blur it out a little bit. And that is how you make the planets. So all I'm going to do now, I think I did do a second planet, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to group it and duplicate it and kind of, you know, kind of line it up where it was. And then I'll take both these groups. Oops, on the wrong button there. Kind of move them around and, you know, you get the idea. And then I'm just going to kind of go back onto that main layer and let's just kind of do some other, go back into the pixel persona, select the pixel brush, and let's just kind of do, I think in assorted there was like one with all these dots and stuff. Yeah, so I think I kind of like used this one. Kind of did like another light blue almost. And let's just make another pixel layer just in case it looks weird or gets off. So again, make sure, you know, I'm going to go down to like 20% here. And I'm just kind of clicking in different spots. And I'm going to make my brush even smaller here. So that is what I used. You know what? I know what I did. If you double click on it, you get all the dynamics and everything. So I did a little bit of size jitter, but scatter I brought way up, if I'm not mistaken. And then that is kind of how I got that a little bit more kind of out there. I'll just kind of do this at full opacity and then, whoops. So just varying size. Like I said, man, this is really time consuming. So I'm not going to fully go on and do this. I think we're pretty much covered. You know, the majority. Yeah, as you can see, I was like way smaller on those. And then I can drop this down. For the most part, everything, you know, you want to just keep working up the opacities. Let's go back to this layer and just add a little bit more texture. We'll try this one. And not that. Go this here. And yeah, that's like a good star field. Let me Command Z it though, because again, I'm going to go super light opacity. We're only on 30%. And you know, that's how this background was created. It did take a lot of time. You know, you do go from lights to darks. So you don't want to just be 100%. Like, you want to switch the colors up. And that's about it, guys. I think I'm going to call it right there, because from here, you know, all you got to kind of do is the text, which is easy. You guys should know how to do text here. You just lay the text on. And, you know, you really want to take your time with this background. Like, that's how to do it. And as you can see, I had a lot more. And the colors are way off on this one. But, you know, so, okay. So we got some more bright colors in here. And then, bam, I'm doing a little of that. So, okay. As you can see, like, a little bit. You got to make sure you're popping your colors out. And you know, I don't remember exactly which brushes I was using for this whole thing. But okay, as you can see, now we're getting a little more like depth into this. So make sure you got a lot of contrast and stuff going on. And then, oh, the last thing I forgot to show you, which good thing, is we're going to put shadow along this whole thing here. So we're going to make a pixel layer and we're going to drop it into this. And then this, we don't want texture. We just want like a good, you know, normal brush here, and we want to make it super light. And this we just want gray, and I'm even going to drop that down to 20%. And we're just going to kind of paint along the outside edges here. So as we can see from these highlights, like the light source is kind of coming in at this angle. So we just want to put like a little bit of a gradient kind of on this. And I'm even going to drop it down to 1% here. And you know, kind of along the edges here. And that's about it. That just gives your eye a little bit of like a, you know, like a feel, like, so it's not such a stark, like white, you know, image. And then same thing here. You can kind of go in and kind of bevel this out a little bit with the brush tool. For this, I normally do have a Wacom tablet. I'm not using that. I'm just kind of going in with the mouse here. And you can even go in if you really want, like, to really see. Now some of this stuff's getting a little more lighter. So either A, don't do it as dark as I'm doing it right now, or B, go back into these and do the same thing. And then the very last thing I'm going to show you here is we can also do an adjustment layer to like the whole thing here to really kind of pop this out even more. So, oops, hold on. Where'd that go? All right, I don't know where that went. I'm just going to... sometimes stuff gets lost a little bit. So we can do like levels here. And, you know, we can kind of play with it a little bit. Yeah, that's not too bad. You can do a couple different layers and, you know, just kind of try what you like. They're just adjustment layers, so you can kind of play with stuff. Here we got the vibrance, so maybe, you know, this is a game. Maybe I do want it that cold, like lighter blue, or maybe you're doing something where you want to drop it a little bit. Let's go high with that, and then we'll just put one more layer on it, which would be, let's just do a curves and kind of pop the middles here, and kind of just give it a little more contrast here. But once you're done with something, you know, I'd always say you can go ahead and throw a couple of these on, especially if you're not used to them. You should do them just to get used to what the different adjustment layers do. But so I know it's not a one-to-one remake this time, but I went over everything that you need to do to get to this point. I just want to keep it kind of as short as possible. This will, I'm going to put this one up on my website, which is vectorart.club. If you want to go there and download If you guys are following me, you guys know what I do. I put all the files up. So you can actually download this file and go through and click on everything and just really go through and see how I did everything if you want to do it that way. So, okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I'll be back, lots more stuff in the works. And until then, happy vectoring.